This is the history of Alice in Chains. What we're going to go over: the origin story, the rising to fame, struggles and downfalls, and ultimately the conclusion. Originally, Lane was 17 in this picture. This is his prom picture on the right. And on the left, we have Alice in Chains back in his heyday in 88, 89. I think that's 89, I believe. Lane's first band was originally called Sleaze. However, they changed the name to Alice in Chains, but it's not the same Alice in Chains you know. They formed this Alice in Chains in high school, and it was different band members. So Jerry Cantrell wasn't in it. Sean Kinney was not in it. Mike Starr was not in it. None of the original Alice in Chains members. It was all different people from Lane's high school. Lane formed the band when he was 17 years old. And the band slowly just became nothing. It kind of just stopped. There was no grudges or anything. It just they lost motivation for that band. Lane joined Diamond Lie while being in the band Sleaze because the Sleaze band did not get disbanded yet when Lane joined Diamond Lie. And Diamond Lie is where Lane got to play with Jerry Cantrell, the guitarist. Jerry was playing a little bit of mind games with Lane, and Jerry wanted to set an ultimatum, which was if you don't fully commit to Diamond Lie, which is now Alice in Chains, you will get replaced. Because Lane wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Lane wanted to play in Diamond Lie and in Sleaze / Alice in Chains. So Jerry got Chippendale dancers to audition for the frontman role in the band. And Jerry got Lane to come over to see the auditions and was asking Lane his opinion on the singers. And he knew it would piss Lane off, essentially, and would make Lane join because he didn't want to be replaced by a Chippendale dancer who couldn't sing. In 1987 to 1988, Lane Staley met his fiancée, Dimri Pero. This may seem irrelevant to Alice in Chains, but it will become more relevant to the conclusion of the story. They hit it off the first time they met. It was pretty rad. The rise to fame. So, the first album in 1990, the album Facelift by Alice in Chains, sold approximately 500,000 copies. And the second album in 1992, Dirt, was released, and Lane had started using by then. Lane was not using at the time of recording Facelift, which was the original album, and Lane was using really bad substances that ended up hurting him a lot, which fueled the songwriting and his dark lyrics in the second album, Dirt. However, it did peak at number 6 on the Billboard 200. And Lane and Alice in Chains made their first EP in 92. They created the EP with rock legends like Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, Ann Wilson from Heart, and Mark Arm from Mudhoney. Mike Starr left Alice in Chains just around 93 to 94. In between that time, some people speculate that Mike Starr left because of the pressures with being told that he was a bad influence on Lane. Lane and Mike were known, well, Lane and Mike Starr were known to be users. And they felt that Mike enabled Lane, possibly. Possibly, people speculate. However, officially, it was just that Mike didn't feel like traveling all around anymore. But people have speculated that they didn't want Mike influencing Lane to use more. And Lane was the front man, and Mike being the bassist, it's better to have the bassist be replaced than the front man, sadly. And then Mike Inez came into the picture. Ironically, they have the same first name and they kind of look alike too. So it's uncanny. This is where the struggles and downfall begin. In 94, the EP Jar of Flies came out, and a lot of people argue that Nutshell is the saddest song in rock and roll history. And Nutshell was on this EP. After that, we had their self titled album come out in 1995, which was really heavy, but one of my favorites. My favorite song from the self titled album was possibly, I think, Shamin' You. Shamin' You is a great song from there. And the last album from the Lane Staley era is Music Bank, which had the songs Died and Get Born Again, which are two new songs that were on that album. Then, toward the end of the Lane Staley era, Lane, this is the last known pictures of Lane, one of the few last known pictures of Lane in 1998. Demery died in 1996, and Lane was on a 24-hour suicide watch after she died, according to Charles R. Cross from The Last Days of Lane Staley, Rolling Stone magazine. It was really horrible, and Lane gave up on getting clean after Demery died. Lane just kept using to the point where he eventually passed away in 2002. After that, in 2006, William Duvall joined as the new frontman with Jerry Cantrell, both are frontmen. And these are the albums: The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, Rainier Frog, and Black Gives Way to Blue, which a song literally called Black Gives Way to Blue on that album was dedicated to Lane Staley, and Elton John played the piano for Lane because Elton was Lane Staley's favorite musician, one of his favorites. So shout out to William Duvall, the frontman. He's been so nice, Definitely was a really heavy thing to deal with because fans, it was really controversial. They didn't like that they had a new frontman. So you got a lot of hate. Discussion. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I love Alice in Chains. Love grunge in general, especially the Seattle grunge scene in early 90s. However, the grunge stars would not call it grunge. They'd probably cringe at the term grunge. Some of them wanted to be punk, some of them wanted to be metal. These are my references.